Anyway, okay, well, thanks everyone for joining us. You know, today more than 3,300 children are in Iowa's foster care system, and while that number is significantly less than it was a decade ago and continuing to trend downward, Iowa still has more children in need of foster homes than it has foster families to provide them. Today, I am proud to sign into law a bill that aims to change that by making the process of becoming a foster parent more accessible and personalized. The changes proposed in Senate File 2096 will shift foster parent training from a rigid hour-based requirements to a little bit more of a competency-focused model that ensures caregivers have the skills needed to safely support children. And by allowing training to be tailored to the caregivers, here we go. I told them you were going to be rolling in maybe a little bit late, so come on up. And by allowing the training to be tailored to a caregiver's background and the specific needs of a child, this approach will reduce unnecessary barriers for qualified individuals and recognize really relevant prior experience. Core topics like trauma, attachment, and behavior management will remain central to training, while a more flexible, personalized structure will improve placement, matching, stability, and really just overall readiness. Together, these updates will support stronger recruitment and retention of high-quality foster parents, and that is exactly the goal. This bill was largely driven by foster parents who, after going through the training, expressed some frustration with a process that seemed outdated, overly burdensome, really rather than focused on preparing families and, again, matching children sooner and more effectively. And one of those foster parents, and a good friend of mine, was Greg Baker from the Family Leader. And I want to thank him. I think he's over here. Okay. Wrong side. I want to thank him for his advocacy and ask him to share kind of what this bill means for foster children and families across Iowa. So, Greg.
Thank you, Governor, and I want to thank Senator Warmy. He helped lead these efforts for us in the Senate, and Representative Walden right behind me here helped us lead these efforts in the House. We've been wanting to overall strengthen the overall continuum of care in our child welfare system, whether it be preventing kids from ending up into the system. We were able to work with the governor's office and Health and Human Service to start a preventive foster care ministry. But also even how do we just bring more wraparounds around families that are in crisis, that they just had a little bit more support. They would not need the child welfare system. So this has been a joy to work with HHS, other nonprofits in our state. This legislation was a critical one because we've seen less and less families stepping in to the foster care system. We've also seen a higher burnout rate. How can we specialize our training that better fit the needs of our foster families? So I come from a biased perspective. I come from the Christian church perspective. Faith is one of the primary motivators for foster families, but yet we're not able to use faith as a motivator as we're training them. This legislation that allows more different ways to train will allow us to cater train to different demographics, including our Christian demographic, which will allow them to tap into their faith and allow them to continue on and be in a foster family, but also recruit more families into the process, which we do need to do in Iowa if we're going to get to that 1-to-1 ratio. So we're excited for this step. It is one of many in our system and one of many more that we hope to complete. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Greg, not only for your work on this bill, but honestly for opening up your heart and your home to fostering Iowa children in need of a loving and supportive family. So thank you for your passion and just for caring so deeply about our kids. I really appreciate it. And the timing of this bill could not be better. Late last year, the Administration for Children and Families at the United States Department of HHS announced the launch of a Home for Every Child. And this is a national initiative intended to right-size the ratio of foster homes to the number of children in the foster care system. So this effort directly supports President Trump's executive order fostering the future for American children and families, and First Lady Melania Trump's commitment to improving outcomes for children in foster care. A Home for Every Child sets an ambitious goal of achieving a foster home to child ratio that is actually greater than 1-to-1 in every state. The initiative will focus on increasing the availability of safe homes through diligent recruitment, prioritizing kin, and improving retention of existing caregivers, while also reducing entries into foster care, I think you talked about that, Greg, through effective prevention and really faster pathways to permanency. I'm proud to announce that I have directed and worked with, really, Iowa HHS to join ACF in this effort. And Iowa will be the 9th state in the country to do so. So this morning, after signing the bill, I will also sign a proclamation that formalizes our commitment. Iowa is in a truly strong position to support these goals. In fact, we already have programs in place that directly address these needs and others. And Janae Harvey, the Division Director of Family Wellbeing and Protection at Iowa HHS, talk about a strong advocate and somebody that is passionate about making sure these kids can find a family and just a home and really help them thrive and survive. It's her. So she is here to share more information and the difference that this work is making truly in Iowa's foster care system. So Janae.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I want to thank you, Greg, both for your partnership and your ongoing support for foster families. And thank you, Governor, for the support of the work you do for child welfare. And thank you for supporting our state's participation in a home for every child. I couldn't have imagined an initiative that better aligns with the work that we've been doing to support children here in Iowa. A home for every child, it sets a federal standard that there is one foster home for at least one child here in our state, and achieving this standard means that Iowa must increase the number of foster parents. It also means continuing to safely reduce the number of children who are entering foster care. Over the past 2 years, we have implemented significant changes within child welfare that align with both of these goals. We have focused on strengthening families through evidence-based home visiting, family preservation programs, and subsidized guardianship. These efforts are making a meaningful difference. Iowa has less kids in foster care, more placements with relatives, and fewer young people aging out of foster care. Our first goal is to keep children safely with their families whenever possible. When that is not possible, and foster care is necessary, we are committed to having caring foster parents ready to welcome them into their homes. We also know that preventing families from entering foster care, it actually begins in the community. That is why Iowa has invested in the MOMS program, which supports individuals experiencing crisis pregnancy with parenting resources. And we've also invested in Thrive Iowa, which connects families with community navigators who provide support to help them move from crisis to stability. The bill being signed today will also help us streamline our foster parent training so it better matches the urgency of the children's needs. Finally, I want to mention Iowa's Vision Project. By implementing a modern IT system, Iowa HHS will significantly improve case management efficiency, data accessibility, and improve outcomes for the children and families we serve. This is a transformational project with national significance. This work will allow our team to spend less time navigating outdated systems and more time where it matters most, with the families. Governor, this would not have been possible without your staunch support and collaboration. Thank you. Combined together, these efforts, initiatives, and tools support the shared federal and state standard that we must be sure that there are homes waiting for children, not children waiting for homes.
Janae, thank you again for your commitment to a home for every child and for everything that you and your team do to support children and families in Iowa. Before I sign today's bill, I also want to thank the floor manager, Senator Warmy, who was just able to join us, and Representative Weldon. Thank you for floor managing this bill and for your strong commitment to this important piece of legislation. Child welfare is an issue that transcends party lines, and I truly am grateful for the huge bipartisan support that this bill received. And with that, I am proud to sign it into law. Get a little closer. Come on. thank Four Oaks for being here today too, for
Oh,
all that
thank
you've
you
done
for
and
having
helping
us.
provide the training. We really appreciate your work on this bill as well. Thank you. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Molly, did I see you have a few more brochures to Molly somewhere? This one I'm trying to get.
Gotta be a pro at this.
Sharpies.
When I hand these out, the caps aren't tight, so beware. That's what I tell my, especially if it says permanent magic marker, which are not allowed in the Reynolds household with the 11th grade. Okay, that's the bill. Yay, and it is a law. So now we'll go ahead and I'll sign the joint proclamation with the Administration for Children and Families that reflects our shared vision for the future of child welfare. Again, one that builds on the tremendous progress that we've made, embraces bold and thoughtful innovation, and remains unwavering in our commitment to children and youth families. What did I say today was the 6th? Yeah, 7th. Okay, yay, that's done too. I ran out of pens, we have extras over there.
Okay, we're gonna have some more yes.
Oh wait, I gotta get them kind of pens on.
Oh, all right, take some pens.
Yeah. On there.
And Weldon gets one. Nope, yeah, I don't need one. Nope, nope, nope. I'm good. No, yeah, save them for the others. So good to see you. Yeah, good to see you too.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. You good? Okay. You good? Okay, great. Got it.
Thanks, Gov.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Yay,
Yeah.
good stuff.
We had 15 phones.
Okay, well, you could have maybe spoke to the issue. God bless you. Thank you. So I appreciate it. Okay, look, I might be okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Oh, 2 left. Oh, pretty good. Oh, yes, you can.
Appreciate it, well done.
Yeah, you bet. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Janae, could you just tell us how many children are waiting for a foster home today? And if you could come over and speak to us from the microphone, this would be great for radio people. And the change in from 30 hours to explain how that's.
So today, one of the things that I am excited to talk about is that Iowa is one of the leading states in the country in terms of keeping kids placed with their relatives and fictive kin, even when they're in foster care. We are slightly over 50%, and the national average is 35%. What that means is that kids, even if their parents are not able to keep them safe and a judge orders physical custody to be removed from them, we are able to reduce some of the trauma that's associated with them now being in foster care. We're able to identify those relatives and fictive kin and keep those kids there. And those relatives and fictive kin are much more likely to either enter into permanent guardianship or become adoptive placements. So we currently today, we have around 3,300 kids in foster care, and many of those kids are, if their parental rights have been terminated, some of those kids, they're sitting with pre-adoptive homes, and again, about half with relatives and fictive kin. I don't have a specific number that I can say these number of kids are just waiting to be adopted, because so many times their legal cases may be fluid and their permanency goals are frequently shifting. The change in the bill, in law, currently we had a very kind of canned cookie cutter approach that all foster parents, regardless of competencies, they had to take the exact same curriculum. By working with individuals who want to be foster parents, we no longer need to make a wannabe foster parent who's a nurse. She doesn't have to take CPR anymore. Somebody who might be a clinical social worker, so maybe have some professional skills that could translate into being a foster parent, we can modify that curriculum. The other area where we're going to see significant change, some people want to be a foster parent to teens, some maybe want to do that for an infant. We should be having a customized curriculum based on even the types and the needs of the kids that they're willing to care for. So this is going to, what we anticipate at the end of this, right now it takes about 9 months to become a foster parent. We're anticipating 3 to 4 months without compromising or changing any of the safety requirements that we do. We're still doing background checks, fingerprinting, home studies, need to get reference checks from at least 3 individuals, and we do unannounced visits. None of that is changing. It's literally just the training process.
Yeah. That's the person that you, oh, no. This is the person who should be answering. Yeah. But think about reducing that timeline. I mean, that's critical. And really focusing on where they need to be trained.
Yeah.
Can you explain why we are already as a state better than that national average, even with
Yeah.
these changes?
Yeah, there's a few reasons for that. In some states, they have laws that say unless somebody is licensed, if a child's in foster care, they can't be in an unlicensed setting. Those of you with kids in your life, if you got a call tomorrow to say your niece or nephew's entering foster care, would you be willing to take them in? Probably very few of you are actually licensed foster parents. So we'd say licensure is not essential to being sure that somebody is a competent and safe caregiver. So some states have laws on the book that really keep them from being able to do that. We have also worked with the legislators in order to provide equalizing financial support for relatives and fictive kin. So really there have been economic barriers that I literally am aware of a grandparent that we approached and said, we have your 4 grandkids, could you care for them? And this was before we provided financial support, and she said, I can care for 2 of them, but I can't do 4. That's a horrible decision that no family member should ever have to make. And legislators changed the law a couple of years ago. So now we have equalized stopgap funding for those relatives and fictive kin. So money is no longer breaking up sibling sets, and it's also resolving that barrier to relatives saying yes. The third area was also a piece of legislation that passed last year that allows for the expedited approval for relatives and fictive kin. So it's similar to licensing, but we have them on a different track. If a kid has been spending the first Saturday of every month with grandma, we're not going to put her through all of the hoops that we would somebody who is just wanting to become a foster parent for other reasons.
Can you explain what had happened with the Child Welfare Task Force, which I think was
Yeah.
created as part of the settlement after Sabrina raised that? And
Yeah.
there were some questions raised about why that task force hasn't met for a couple of years, and why did it stop meeting? What were the recommendations?
Yeah, great. So there was a task force that came out of that settlement. We met with them 3 times. So we met with them at the end of 2023 and twice at the beginning of 2024. And we had very, very thoughtful and engaging conversations with them. Those individuals, none of them have what we call subject matter expertise. So even though they had really good ideas and observations, we took those ideas and then we actually formed a task force called the Safe Kids Advisory Committee. We had a juvenile judge on that Safe Kids Advisory Committee. We had 2 foster parents. We had 2 parents whose kids had been removed from them and placed in foster care, and they successfully got them back. We had 2 youth who were raised in foster care. And so we had about 15 different individuals. They came together starting in November 2024. We met with them every single month, all the way through November 2025. And we put together a portfolio of work called our Safe Kids Portfolio. There's a report up on our HHS website that takes through all the transformative initiatives that advisory committee encouraged us to do and gives the status of each of the implementation. It resulted in the expansion of therapeutic foster homes. It resulted in a work group coming together looking at why do we have 30 hours of training? Now, we needed a law change, but that idea came from the Safe Kids Advisory Committee. So we had an assistant county attorney on that task force as well. So I appreciate the question, because the idea that we have not been working with a task force is not accurate. We had an extended group that was very thoughtful in their feedback, and we have done tremendous work in implementing their recommendations.
It's really allowed you to operationalize some of the statistics or strategies that they gave you. And
Absolutely.
It's ongoing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that was one of the biggest impacts that came from the recommendation was Google Vision, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This idea that people on the committee could see that our IT, so our computer system, is from the 1980s. It is pretty hard for me to explain unless you've played Oregon Trail.
Last time, one of the members didn't know what a green screen was, so.
Yeah, literally, our computer system is not compatible with a mouse. Those F buttons that you are probably unfamiliar with, we use those to navigate through our system. We are at the point today where we have people graduating from college who want to be a social worker in Iowa. They have gotten up and left our training because they say, I can't learn that. Let me know when you have a modern IT system. Our computer system is named Vision, and we are working with Google, and we are really setting a pathway forward that is going to be a standard for the nation, and we have direct support from ACF in the work we are doing.
And they hope to take it nationwide. I mean, we truly are launching this pilot program, and we should have the first phase in place by the end of this year, right?
Yeah, that's right.
ACF stands for?
Oh, Administration for Children and Families. It's the federal body.
Any more questions for either the governor or HHS?
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Larry. I appreciate it. Janae, thank you. Any other
There's a couple of top IFRS officials that
Yep.
put on leave. Why is that? And
Well-
should people who are, have a stake in IFRS be considered?
Yeah, absolutely. It has no impact on the solvency of the trust fund, and all the beneficiaries will continue to receive their payment. This is a personnel issue, so I'm not going to be able to comment on that, as we typically can't. But it has absolutely no impact on IPER's solvency or the ability to allocate the payments.
When will we be able to learn? Will we be able to learn more at some point if there's either further discipline?
Well, absolutely, but everybody deserves the right to go through the process, and there's processes in place to make sure that we're protecting the rights of individuals that are employed, and so we're going through that process, and once that is completed, there'll be a review of what next steps look like.
Earlier today, the House committee met with a consultant from a firm that will go through 2/3 of school districts' budgets and 99 county budgets and present information.
Yeah.
And the Speaker Grassley said you've been notified of this, and the Senate has been notified of this. Is that million and 1.4 million well spent on this?
Well, I think that's why they had the oversight committee, to just learn more about it. We consolidate all of our IT into one agency. Remember, it was spread across 20 different agencies, and because of that, we really have a group that has a lot of IT experience in it. We also have a ranking for our providers. So if we've got a bad provider that has not done the job, they actually go through a ranking process so that other agencies know if this is a company that can do the work or not. And so Dom Do It is the name of the group. And I'm going to have them just take a look at it. I have the experts there. I want to get their feedback. They know what to look for. They know how to verify some of the recommendations that they're making, or the capability of the IT vendor to be able to carry out what they're talking about doing. A lot of times, it's been our experience over the years, we've done, I've tried to bring a lot of technology into government. We are woefully lacking in it. It is outdated, fragmented. We collect a lot of data, but we can't aggregate it. So what our experience has been, especially in the HHS realm, is they promise the world and they're short on being able to deliver it. These are really tough issues. It deals with a lot of data. So, they're well-intended. I don't mean that in a bad way. And this isn't reflective on this company. I'm just talking about historically what we've seen. Really good ones, not so good ones, and some really bad ones that absolutely can't come through with what they've committed to. And so I would like them to at least take a look at that. And if they think it's somebody, we're looking for ways, Kay, that we can help these local governments as we're looking at, reducing property taxes, that we can help them look at data and make well-informed decisions going forward. How do they rank with other communities? How do they rank with other cities, school districts? Are there maybe that would give them ideas on who they could contact to see what are they doing differently than I'm doing here, that their budget is so much less than mine, just things like that. We want to be helpful where we can be. I brought in an outside consultant when we did realignment because I didn't have the capacity or the bandwidth to really look at what other states were doing. They did that for me, and then I took that information and made it work with our state. So I commend them for looking at it and thinking about ways that we can help them. We just need to make sure it's a vendor that can do it.
Time for just one more.
New report from the Harkin Institute and Iowa Environmental Council links Iowa's rising cancer rates to environmental exposures like pesticide, nitrates, forever chemical radon. The report calls for stronger enforcement of pollution laws and more investment in monitoring. Are you open to increasing regulation or funding in those areas, or do you still?
Well, we're balancing that with I think it was the cancer report highlighted a decades-long study. This isn't a peer review that the Harkin Institute is referring to. This is an actually decades-long study that had a dedicated cohort of farmers and spouses and non-farmers and looked at exactly that, the environmental impact that it had on our farmers and their spouse over decade, 10 years plus. And it actually found that they were lower in cancer rates than the cohort that weren't tied to the farm. So we have invested $1 million. We'll have more money coming in with some of the Healthy Hometown dollars that we've got from the Health Transformation Fund. That will allow us, we've kind of completed phase 1. And remember that they said phase 1 showed that, based on science, and not a 10-year study, but they're putting cohorts together, and I think you participated in the report out that they did, that right now, first phase showed that 70% was behavioral risk. So it was tied to alcohol, smoking, obesity. 70% of the cancer rates were tied to that. Lung, I think, was an outlier. We're looking at radon, so we're focused on that. And then the second phase, they will look at environmental impacts too. Not a lot of data across the state so that they could compare. So that's what they're trying to really tie down, is what do we use for variables in the study that they're doing, but they'll take that on next year. But in the meantime, I think if you're going to talk about one study, you should also, in that same article, talk about the 10-year actually scientific study that had an actual cohort that compared non-farmers to farmers, and they actually had a lower cancer rate. I think it's important to show Iowans, both of those. I had a long conversation with my family this weekend regarding that, to just be sure and look at both reports when we're trying to make decisions on what it looks like going forward. But we are investing in it. We'll continue to invest in it, and then we'll make adjustments where we need to, whatever that may be. We'll see, whatever that will look like. That's why, especially, I think it's important that we do the radon, so that we are testing for it, and then we're providing funding for mitigation so that we can see what kind of an impact that has potentially on cancer rates in Iowa. So, we're hopeful. We want to find out what that looks like, and then we'll have finally, we've got some state resources, but to be able to have those federal dollars coming in that I can really scale some of those initiatives, I think will be really helpful in hopefully changing the narrative on Iowa being in the top 2 or 3 states for cancer rates. That's our goal. So thank you for that question. Thank you.